Okay, in this lecture, we're going to deal with homogeneous DE of the first order. Okay, so kuha lang yapon siya. Same lang yapon siya sa itong variable separable na first order yapon. So, recall ta from your algebra kanina part. Homogeneous polynomial is a polynomial whose non-zero terms all have the same degree. So, we have two examples here. First example, kani x raised to 5 plus 2x raised to 3 times y squared plus x times y raised to 4. This is a homogeneous because the definition of a homogeneous dapat kailangan same degrees tanan term. So kani, so since naa siya tulo ka term kani kana dapat kanang tulo ka terms dia the same ang degree. So for example, the first term yang degree kay 5. The second term 5 gyud po yang degree. Pero kumbaga gihati lang siya na ay 3 dira tapos na ay 2 dira. So 3 plus 2 is 5. Then diri sa ikatulo na term na siya ay 1 dira tapos na ay 4 dira. So 1 plus 4 is 5. So therefore, example number 1 is a homogeneous polynomial. So polynomial lang ni siya. Kumbaga ato lang siyang gina-explain ang concept sa homogeneous polynomial kaya ma-apply na siya sa homogeneous DE. Okay, so for example number 2, this one. 3 gyapon ang terms, so x raised to 3 plus 3 x squared times y plus z raised to 7. So nakabutang sa conclusion na this is non-homogeneous because the first term is the degree is 3. Second term 3 gyapon, di ba? Kaya na 2 dra, yan ay 1 da. So 3. But the third term degree is 7. So therefore this is a non-homogeneous DE. So in this topic, we're just going to deal with differential equations that are homogeneous in nature. Okay, so next one. Some first order DE are not of the separable or variable separable type but can be made separable by changing the variables. So ang whole concept aning homogeneous polynomial homogeneous DE kay if ever gani dili separable ang DE or dili separable ang variables sa isa ka DE, so kani itong i-try og buhat given that the coefficients of dx and dy are homogeneous polynomials. Okay? So ana lang, pag dili separable, i-try na to kung homogeneous ba. Ato ang i-check if homogeneous ang DE. Tapos pag homogeneous, natay buhaton na some substitutions na para di ba dili siya separable. Ato ang imong separable gamit ang mga changes in variables. Okay. So next, DE in the form m multiplied by dx plus n multiplied by dy is equal to 0. So di ba familiar naman ta ni naman sa previous na lecture. So ang pasabot lang ani so kanina form na DE is said to be homogeneous DE as long as the polynomials in m and n are homogeneous. So mo na ang ginaingon dapat kaning m kumbaga mura siya inani diri sa first na example dapat homogeneous siya, not necessarily na pareha sila og value, pero dapat homogeneous ni ang m, and then at the same time dapat homogeneous po ni ang n diri. Tapos dapat ang homogeneous na polynomial diri sa m kay dapat pareha og degree sa n. So for example, ang m kay ang degree kay 3, dapat ang n pod ang degree niya kay 3. Okay. So if inana ang case, for example, nakuha na nato na kabalo na ta na homogeneous DE din ni siya. So ang next na to buhaton ato ang pangitaan og solution ang homogeneous DE. So mo ni na part diba? So the solution to a homogeneous DE, remember we are going to make this homogeneous DE, which is not a variable separable example, into a variable separable DE by making use of substitutions. So ang katong duha ka naay duha ka substitutions diri ah. First is we are going to let y equal to vx. So for example, number 1, kaning y dira ato ang pulian og y is equals to vx. And then syempre dili lang ta pwede na y lang atong pulian, dapat kaning dx dapat dy pod. So since pulian po lang dy, so say for example balik ta sa example 1, mausab po ng dy dira. So na siya nakabutang na or kay pwede po ang ilet na to ang x equal to v multiplied by y. Then of course pangitawan po na to ang dx, which is kani diri. Okay, so before mo proceed sa kaning choose something dira kanang duha, ko sa explain kung ginsa ni pagko ang dy diri o kaning dx. Okay, so if we recall your calculus 1, di ba na-mention ako na or nakuan dyan ako, na lecture dyan ako tong implicit differentiation, di ba? So ato ang gibuhat lang, ato ni siyang gi-derive with respect to x. So nakuha na to ning na value or the derivative. So for example, di ba kani tayo butang dali. Okay? So if you're going to derive that or differentiate it with respect to x, so this is just dy over dx is equals to these are two variables, so gamitan nato na siya og product rule, di ba? So first is as is ang v multiplied by the derivative of x with respect to x man, so therefore 1 na lang na diya, plus copy x and then multiplied by the derivative of v with respect to x, so same lang siya aning sa y dira. So kumbaga butang na to siya dv over dx. So di na lang ako kayo i-explain yun sa lang implicit kay syempre nagana na ninyo. Okay, so next thing to do is multiply both sides by dx. So this is dy is equals to v dx plus x dv. So kani mo ni siya diri. Okay? I hope na klaro na yung example. So sayo na lang, di na lang nato apilon ang sa x na part kay same naman sila og concept, bali with respect to y na pod. So kani ba kana, so with respect to y lang na, same lang siya og concept aning diri. Okay, so kana lang duha ka substitutions. So nani siya condition, kumbaga kani imong gamiton if something nya, kani imong gamiton if something. Okay, so unsa man ang something, so kaning duha diri ana. So naa siya condition na choose y is equals to v multiplied by x if n is simpler than m. So n here is kani diri kana, then m is kaning diri or the coefficient of dx. So n is always the coefficient of dy, then m is the coefficient of dx. Alam. So that is the first condition. And then number 2, choose x is equals to v multiplied by y if m is simpler than n. So later I will be explaining this concept to you. Nganong inani man ang logic niya, nganong kani man akong pilion kung n is simpler than m and then vice versa. Okay, so kana matubag na siya pag proceed nato sa examples. Okay, so recap so first is the coefficients m and n should contain homogeneous polynomial with the same degrees ang m and n. And then if that is the case, we are going to use either of the two substitutions to make the homogeneous DE become a variable separable DE. Then if it is now a variable separable DE, then we can solve it using the method in lecture 2, right? And then next is next is we're going to choose if we are going to use this substitution or this substitution by these two conditions. Okay? Okay, so proceed na tayo sa example number 1. Ay, sorry. Okay, so example number 1, kana. First thing to do is we are going to check if this is a homogeneous DE. So M here is, anyway, pag mag-solve yun ta, kung marang quiz na ta, ayaw lang isulat ang M. So ako lang siyang sulat dito para mas maklaro. So M here is 3x plus 2y. Then N is 2x, di ba? M is always paired up with dx, and then N is with dy. Okay, so let's check if this is in fact homogeneous DE. So let's start with M. So the two terms siya, and then the first degree of the first term is 1. Second term 1 pod. Then sa N ang degree 1 gyapon. So therefore this is homogeneous DE. So next, if we identify that this is a homogeneous DE, we're going to choose between these two substitutions. So y ba itong gamiton or ang x? So di ba ang nakabutang sa condition, choose y if n is simpler than m. So this is n, di ba? So since n is simpler than m, so n mo nang n is simpler than m. So kailangan simpler pasabutan na kanang dili kay siya complicated tanawon ba. Kumpara nimo ning, di ba? One term is simpler than two term na polynomial. So therefore, we're going to choose y is equals to vx na substitution. Okay? Okay, so we are going to let y equal to vx. Then dy is equals to v dx plus x dv. So kamo na bala, pwede ninyo memorize or pwede ninyo mas maayo jud na sabton niyo concept ginsa ni pagkuha ning dy dra. Anyway, pwede ra gyapon niyo memorize nara sa inyo. Okay? Okay, so next is substitute the values. So na y ato ang substitute dira, dy ato ang substitute dira. Okay, so copy. So 3x plus 2, now y now is vx, so this is vx then dx plus 2x dy is now v dx plus x dv multiplied by v dx plus x dv, okay, is equal to 0. Now for example, wala na to gi-follow ang kaning duha ka condition, kana wala to nagi-follow, okay lang gyapon, same lang gyapon yung outcome, pero ang kalayan na ato example example no sa right side, kani sa right side ang gilet na to x is equals to so to Vy, then dx is equals to V dy plus y dv. So gamit ni na dE, ato ang i-insert ang value sa x and y. So so this is now 3x is Vy plus 2y dx, which is V dy plus y dv, plus 2x is Vy dy equal to 0. So tanan ta mo asa mas sayon i-distribute kaning inani distribute diri or kani i-distribute dira. So para sa kuha mas sayon jud kay diretso na og distribute ang 2x. Compare nimo ani og kani magamit pa ta og file method, so kana i-distribute nya kani na po distribute. So mas complicated na ang imuhang solution na. So mo na ang pinaka simple na pasabot nganong kana atong gamiton. Anyway, pwede gyapon ninyo na gamiton, pero mo lagi mas hassle siya kumpara sa mag-follow ka sa condition. Okay? So unta klaro na to na explanation. Okay, so balik ta ani. So kabalo na ta nganong y ang ipili. Then next is ani. So in the coefficient of dx, they have x as their common variable, so we can factor out x. So x 3 plus 2v dx. So gi-factor out na to siya kay pag makita ninyo ang sa coefficients pag makita ninyo ni kani napud siya x dira. So therefore we can cancel it later. So kopyahan sa nako x v dx plus x dv. So we can cancel x by multiplying the whole equation into the reciprocal of x. So this is multiplied by 1 over x. So cancel na lang x, mabilin na lang ani kay 3 plus 2v dx plus 2 na lang na 2 multiplied by v dx plus x dv is equal to 0. So mas simple na ang imuhang or ang ato ang gina-solve. Okay? The next thing to do is distribute the differentials or kaning 2 dira. So this is just 3 dx plus 2v dx plus 2v dx plus 2x dv. Okay? So the reason that we distributed dx and 2 is because we are going to simplify the whole equation further. So pag after distributing dx and 2, we can find like terms. So for example, 2v dx can be multiplied can be added to 2v dx, diba? So this whole equation simplifies to 3dx plus 2v dx plus 2v dx is just 4v dx then plus 2x dv. Okay? Then the next thing to do is factor out na pud ang common na differentials. So differentials, di ba, mga dx, dy, dv or dv, di ba? So ito ang pang factor out ang differentials. So the same man sila og differential dx ug dx. Ito na i-factor out. Now remember, the whole kanina tanan process diri padulong dira kay ato ang ginahimo ang homogeneous DE into a variable separable DE para mas musayon ang equation, di ba? Kaya ato ra separate ang duha ka variables, then masolve na nato ang differential equation gamit ang mga basic na integration methods. Okay? So mo lang timan-an. Okay, so asa na ito? Kanay o kanay i-factor out. So this now becomes 3 plus 4v dx and then plus 2x dv. So okay, this is almost as a variable separable dE. You're just going to need, I just going to separate v from x and then x from v. So in order to separate those variables, just multiply by the reciprocal of this, which is 1 over 3 plus 4v. So gi-multiply na to siya sa iyang reciprocal kay para kani ma-cancel out and then kani mabalin dra sa ubos. Okay? So this is now dx plus 2x dv over 3 plus 4v equal to 0. Okay, so this is almost done but naay saag na x dira and then dapat v lang tanan. So we are just simply going to divide the equation by x or multiply by its reciprocal. It's just the same. So this is now dx over x plus 2 dv over 3 plus 4v is equals to 0. Okay, so this is now a variable separable equation or differential equation. So we can integrate all the terms then separately, diba? So itong kopyahan sa dx over x, then diba constant ba ng 2, so pwede na ito ipagawas, plus 2 integral of dv over 3 plus 4v is equals to the integral of 0. So balik ta, so the whole purpose of using these substitutions is to make the homogeneous dE into a variable separable dE like this one. Okay? Okay, so kaning first na term sayon lang muna siya integrate. So nya na kani sayon na po na siya integrate, gamitan na og let u equal to 3 plus 4v, then du is just 4 dv. Then since dv lang man ang nadya, so dapat mawala ng 4 dira so we divide both sides by 4. So this is now ma-cancel out na. Okay, so copy integral of dx over x plus 2 integral of dv is 1/4 du over 3 plus 4 3 plus 4 v is just u. So this is u na dra equals to the integral of 0. Then simplify the second term of the equation before integrating. This is pagawas na to ang 1/4. So 1/4 multiplied by 2 is just 1/2 du over u is equals to the integral of 0. Okay? So next is integrate na ang each term. So this is ln x plus 1/2 ln u is equals to the integral of 0 is c. Okay, so since this is in the u form, we're going to substitute back the original value of u, which is 3 plus 4v. So this is ln x plus 1/2 ln u is 3 plus 4v is equals to c. Then almost done, but we started with the variables x and y and then we ended up with variables x and v. So dapat x and y po ang atong answer. So atong ipuli ani okay na ning x. Original man na siya ng variable. So ang v na lang ato ang problema. So ato ang substitute or balik sa y ang v. So diba balik ta sa diri diba ang formula sa substitution kay y is equals to Vx. So therefore, V is just y over x, di ba? Divide both sides by x, we can isolate V. Therefore, V is just y over x. So, ln x plus 1/2 ln of 3 plus 4 y over x is equals to C. Okay, so mo na ni ang answer. And then this solution is this is an implicit one because we are not isolating the value of y. I don't know. Or the value of the dependent variable. So in this case, y. So implicit. Patong gingon ako sa variable separable or separation of variables na lesson, atuwa lang siya i-explicit or pangitaon ang y or ang dependent variable if naka-state dito sa problem. If wala naka-state, pwede ra implicit, pwede ra pod explicit. So ana lang So pero kani okay na rin ang answer. Okay? So example number 2. Asa na to? Example number 2. Example number 2, we have m m equal to 6x squared minus 7y squared. Then n is just, di ba, minus man na dia, so apilon na nimo siya. Minus 14xy. Okay? Di ba dapat plus man na kay ang form sa DE kay m dx plus n dy is equal to 0. So negative man siya, so appeal siya sa n. Okay. Okay, next is check if it is a homogeneous DE. So good ta sa m. So the first term, its degree is 2. Second term, 2. Okay, so ang m is a homogeneous polynomial. Next is n, isa lang ka term. So dahil ang young variable is x and y, so therefore na 1 dara, napon ay 1 dara. So therefore 1 plus 1 is 2. So therefore m and n are m, ang degree sa m is equivalent sa degree sa n. So therefore this is a homogeneous DE. Okay, so since this is a homogeneous DE, we're going to use the substitution. So in this case, di ba, n is simpler than m, so therefore we are going to let y equal to vx. Then dy is equals to v dx plus x dv. Okay? Then substitute y and dy to the differential equation. Okay, so y mo no. So 6x squared, copy lang sana. Minus 7 times y squared. Then since y is vx, raised to 2 na nga. Then dx minus 14x. Then y is vx. Then multiplied by dy, which is now v dx plus x dv, and is equal to 0. Okay? Tuwasang ipang simplify. So this is already simplified. So 6x squared minus, di ba pag inani ang rule sa exponents, so pwede na to siya ma-distribute diri sa duha ka variables. Diba? Pag multiplication gani ni distribute lang ang 2 dira og dira. So this is negative v squared x squared dx minus distribute x to this a number. So this is just 14 vx squared. Then multiplied by v dx plus x dv is equal to 0. Okay, so before we distribute this value to this polynomial, we are going to factor out first unsa ang common sa kanina polynomial. Then since ang common nila is x squared, ato ay factor out ang x squared. Ato na po i-factor out ang x squared kay na may x squared dire So para ma-cancel out ang x squared. Okay? So this is just x squared multiplied by 6 minus 7 v squared dx minus 14 vx squared times v dx plus x dv equal to 0. So divide both sides by x squared. So this is now 6 minus 7 v squared dx minus 14 v multiplied by v dx plus x dv is equal to 0. Okay? Okay, so di ba mas simple na ang DE. So next thing, if na factor out and then na eliminate na tong common nila na value, next is distribute dx and then distribute negative 14v sa kana para makuha na to ang or para makombine na to ang like terms unya. So distribute, this is just 6 dx minus 7v squared dx, then distribute ang apil ang negative So this is now negative 14v multiplied by v dx dapat negative 14v squared kay v times v is v squared dx minus, since negative 14v man, multiplied by x dx, so this is 14vx dv 0. Okay, so mangita ta og like terms. So akong nakita kay kani og kani, so ato nang i minus, so copy ni 6dx negative 7v squared dx minus 14v squared dx is just negative 21v squared dx minus 14vx dx dv is equal to 0. Next is i-pares na pud ang differential. So dx of dx and then dv siya lang isa. So this is 6 minus 21 v squared. Iba atong i-factor out ang dx. So this is dx minus 14vx dv is equals to 0. Okay. So this is almost a variable separable or a variable separable DE. You just have to separate v and x and then also x and v. So same na gyapon ganiya. Dapat mawala na, di ba? Kana mawala na diya. So ato lang siya i-divide by itself. So this is 6 minus 21v squared para mabalin siya diri sa ubos. So this is now dx minus 14vx dv equal to 0. Dapat over 6 minus 21v squared. Okay? Humusda na lang siya isagol na x dira. So itong hawaon ng x dira. Then to do that, simply divide by x. Whole equation dapat So this is now dx over x minus 14v dv over 6 minus 21v squared is equals to 0. So this differential equation is now a variable separable differential equation. So integrate each term. Basta yun na kayo? Wala na og kuan? Basta sayon lang. And then diba integrate na So di sa nato ni integrate sayon naman na. kani atong iunahong integrate. Then before the integrate, ato sa i-factor atong 14 para dili libog. So this is dx over x minus 14 integral of v dv over 6 minus 21 v squared is equals to 0, or the integral of 0. Okay, so di siya nato ni-integrate. Kani sa atong naon. Then to integrate this integral, we are going to use let u. So let u equal to this 6 minus 21 v squared. Then du is negative 42 v dv. At nagamit ang let u, di ba, kay kung atuan ni siyang i-derive, murag makuha na to ang v dv. So kung tanawon lang nato ba, i-derive na to sa itong mind, makuha na to ang v dv. So mao na ang ilanan na nag-let u ta. Then sa mga quiz siguro basig sayon lang, pero naay mga laylay na mga methods para pag-solve sa integral. So always study your integral, okay? And also differential calculus. Okay, so asa na to? Dili na to. So let you almost done. So di ba v dv lang man diha. So dapat mawala ning negative 42 diha. Ato nang i-divide both sides by negative 42. So ma-cancel na. So kopya ang dx over x minus 14 integral of v dv is du over negative 42. So this is pwede siya may mong negative 1 over 42, di ba? Multiplied by du over, diba, kani is just u, diba? So may mo na ng u dra, is equals to the integral of 0. So this is ln x, yan na nila. So copy lang sa para dili libog. So ato sa ipagawas ang negative 1 over 42 para mas simple ang integral. So if pagawas na to na i-multiply siya sa negative 14 dra. So negative multiplied by negative is positive, and this is positive 14 over 42 multiplied by integral of du over u is equals to 0, or integral of 0. Okay, so integrate na jud ln x plus 14 over 42 is just 1/3 ln of u is equals to c. Okay, then since the value of u is 6 minus 21 v squared, so mo na atong value ln x plus 1/3 ln of 6 minus 21 v squared is equals to c. Now this is in terms of v, then we need to find, or we need to find or replace it with y. So di ba y is equal to vx, so pareha ganiya, v is just y over x. So this is ln x plus 1/3 ln of 6 minus 21 multiplied by v squared, which is y over x squared na, is equals to c. So mo na yung answer. Then once again, this is an implicit solution because we did not find the value of y, or the dependent variable. Okay? Okay, so last na dyan na example. So tulo lang siya ka example kay sayo naman siya. Kay may mo ora mangyapon siyang variable separable, so no need na daghanon ang examples. Example number 3. Okay, so same with number 1 and 2, we need to check if it is homogeneous DE. So remember, M is always together with dx. So atong M ani is y. Then N is always with dy. So N here is 2x plus 3y. Okay? Check if this is in fact homogeneous DE. So ang yang sa M ta, ang yang degree is 1. Sa N na pod ang degree diri 1, 1. So therefore this is a homogeneous DE. So the next thing to do is choose between y is equals to vx and x is equals to vy. So in example number 3, since m is simpler than n, di ba? M is just a one-term polynomial and n is a two-term polynomial. Therefore, we are going to choose x is equals to vy para mas simple na to makuha ang solution. Okay? So, you're going to let x equal to vy, then of course dx is equals to v dy plus y dv. Next is substitute x and dx to the equation. Okay? So, sugod na ta diri. So, y as is lang y, then dx is v dy plus y dv plus 2 x is vy. So, therefore, x becomes vy plus 3y multiplied by dy is equals to 0. Okay, so next is find kung unsa ang ilang common. So, di ba kanina y dira, napoy y diri, napoy y dira. Pwede na to i-factor atong y para ma-cancel ang y sa equation. So, copy lang sa ani plus factor out the y, di ba? Y multiplied by 2v plus 3 dy is equals to 0. Okay, so cancel out y by dividing both sides by y. So this is just v dy plus y dv. Pwede na walay parenthesis kay wala naman siya i-multiply, di ba? So kani plus 2v plus 3 dy. So ayaw tanggala ang parenthesis kaning open and close kina kay i-multiply na dy. Okay? Is equal to 0. The next is distribute this differential to the polynomial 2v plus 3 plus 2v dy plus 3 dy is equal to 0. Then combine like terms. So pwede na to i-combine ang kani ug kani itong i-add. So this is now 3v dy plus y dv plus 3 dy equal to 0. Okay? Then next is mangita to same differential. So ang the same diri kay kaning dy o kaning dy. So pwede na to siya i-factor out or ato sa itapad para di mo malibog. 3v dy plus 3 dy plus y dv. So ato lang gibalin ni kani og kani, ato lang gi-swap ang ilang position. Okay? Then factor out dy og dy. So this is just 3v plus 3 dy. Then plus y dv is equal to 0. Okay? Okay, so next is atuwa na siyang i-separate ang variables. So dapat mawala ang v dira. Yan. Dapat ang y mawala po diri. Dapat ang dy pare sa y, ang dv pare sa v. Okay, so first, ato ning tanggalon. Kuhaan sa nato na. So, divide lang by itself. So, this is now dy plus y dv divided by 3v plus 3 is equal to 0. Okay, next is atong tanggalon ang y dira para v na lang tanan diri kana v na na. So, divide by itself 1 or divide by y. So, this is dy over y plus dv over 3v plus 3 is equal to 0. Okay? So, this is now a variable, separable differential equation. So, pwede na ito mag-integrate sa tanan terms, di ba? Pero before na to integrate ni ato asang i-simplify ang ikaduha na term, di ba ang common nila diri kay 3 og 3. So pwede ito i-factor out ang 3 para mas simple jud ang differential equation. So dy over y kopya lang sana plus dv over 3 multiplied by v plus 1, di ba? Is equal to 0. Or this is just dy over y plus 1/3 dv multiplied by dv over v plus 1, di ba? Is equal to 0. Then, pwede na natin na-integrate. So, na-integrate na. Di ba, mas sayon siya tanawon kung itong i-factor out ang mga common. Okay. So, next, integral of dy over y is ln y plus kopya ang constant. Integral of dv over v plus 1 is just ln v plus 1. So, gamitan niya po na u sub, pero diretso na kasi yun naman na. Integral of 0 is c. Once again, we're going to replace the value of v. So, di ba, ganina x is equals to v times y. So, therefore, v is now x over y. So, divide lang both sides by y para ang v na lang mabilin dira. So, therefore, v is x over y. So, this is just ln of y plus 1/3 ln of x over y plus 1 is equals to c. Okay? So, this is the answer.